They told you it was a gift, your gentleness, your ability to calm the storms around you. You became the safe place, the warm smile, the easy yes in a world of hard no's. You learned how to read the room before you ever learned how to read yourself. You learned how to silence your needs before you ever learned how to speak them, and somewhere along the way you made a trade you didn't even realize you were making. You gave up your voice for acceptance, you gave up your edges for belonging, you gave up your wildness for safety, and they loved you for it. Of course they did. You made it easy for them to stay comfortable, to avoid their own storms by standing under your silence. But no one asked what it was costing you. No one noticed the small deaths piling up behind your easy smile. Every time you said, "It's fine," when it wasn't. Every time you nodded along with something that hollowed you out. Every time you apologized for feeling too much, needing too much, wanting too much. You became the person they could love easily, because you became the person who asked for nothing. And maybe for a while it worked. The smiles, the invitations, the praise. You were the one who made everything better. But deep down, something inside you began to fray. A hunger you couldn't name, a weariness you couldn't rest away, a grief that had no funeral because no one knew it had died. You didn't lose yourself all at once. You lost yourself through 1,000 small acts of mercy. Mercy for them. Mercy for their comfort. Mercy that never turned inward. And buried under all of it, a voice began to rise. A voice that didn't want to be agreeable anymore. A voice that didn't want to be the easy one anymore. A voice that didn't want to be loved at the cost of being real, because something inside you remembered what the world hoped you would forget. You were never born to be easy. You were born to be real. What if being loved has been your prison? What if all the times you chose peace over truth, comfort over honesty, applause over authenticity? You weren't winning love, you were losing yourself. No one tells you that when you survive by being agreeable, you build your own cage. You build it with smiles you don't mean. You build it with apologies you don't owe. You build it with dreams you shrink to fit inside someone else's comfort. At first it feels like survival. It feels like safety. You read the room like scripture. You learn the sacred art of adaptation. You disappear inside every conversation, every gathering, every relationship, until the only reflection you see is the one they wanted, not the one you are. It is slow. It is invisible. And then one day, you wake up inside a life that fits them perfectly, but feels foreign to your bones. This is what Jung warned us about when he spoke of the persona, the mask we build to survive among others, the face we show to belong. But the longer you wear the mask, the harder it becomes to take it off, until you are no longer performing peace. You have become peace, at the cost of every storm you were born to weather. You laugh when you're hurting. You say yes when your heart screams no. You call it love when it's really just quiet survival. And the cost is staggering. You lose the sound of your own voice. You lose the shape of your own soul. You lose the wild, holy, furious parts of you that were never meant to be domesticated. Imagine waking up in a house you built with your own hands, only to find the furniture belongs to strangers. That is what it feels like to realize the life you're living wasn't built for the real you. It was built for the version of you they could handle. And the deeper tragedy is this. You fear that if you ever tear the mask away, if you ever let them see your real face, the applause will stop, the love will evaporate, the safety will collapse. But what you don't realize yet, what they never wanted you to realize, is that what you are losing isn't love. It's dependency. It's conditional affection. It's love with fine print. It's the kind of love that only survives if you keep killing off the parts of you that make them uncomfortable. As Rumi said, tear off the mask. Your face is glorious. But tearing it off is a kind of death, the death of being who they needed you to be, the birth of becoming who you already are. You were not made to be a mirror, you were made to be a flame, and the world has enough reflections. What it needs now is your fire. There's a loneliness more brutal than solitude. It's the loneliness of being seen and not recognized. Because when you make a habit of disappearing into every room you enter, eventually you forget what it feels like to stand anywhere as yourself. You learn to listen without speaking. You learn to agree without feeling. You learn to smile without meaning. At first it feels like mastery. You become fluent in the unspoken. You blend so well they call you easy, sweet, selfless, and for a while you believe them. You believe you're winning something sacred. You believe belonging is a prize you can earn by being soft enough, small enough, silent enough. But deep down, something different starts to happen. You come home after being everything to everyone and you feel emptier than before. You lie awake not from the noise of rejection, but from the deafening silence of self-abandonment. Psychologists call it emotional masking. Jung called it the persona, but you know it by a simpler name, the slow fading of your own reflection. You wear their approval like a second skin, but it never warms you, it never fits quite right. And over time, the hunger grows. The hunger to be seen without performing, the hunger to be loved without folding yourself in half first. But hunger is dangerous when you've spent a lifetime fasting your own truth. You start to notice the cracks. You hear yourself laughing at jokes that humiliate you. You feel the shame spike when you say yes to things you want to scream no at. You watch your own hands texting apologies. You don't mean just to keep the peace. It builds slowly like water behind a dam. And then one morning you look in the mirror and you realize you don't know whose life you're living anymore. It's like waking up in a house you built with your own hands and realizing the furniture belongs to strangers. It's like hearing your own voice speak and wondering when it learned to sound so hollow. It's like remembering too late that survival is not the same as living. You were not made to be a ghost in your own story. You were not made to shrink until you disappeared. The world taught you to survive by being agreeable, but your soul is teaching you something different. That survival without authenticity is just a slower kind of death. And that somewhere beneath the ruins of everything you built to be loved, there is still a fire waiting for you to come back and claim it. There is a moment, sharp as a blade, when the mask begins to crack. At first it's small, a no that slips out without permission, a truth you say too fast to edit, a silence you refuse to fill for the first time. It feels reckless, it feels selfish. It feels like setting fire to the house you spent your life building, because when you've survived by being agreeable, truth feels like violence. But Carl Jung knew the deeper violence is not in speaking, it's in silencing. It's in the quiet betrayals you commit against yourself every time you choose their comfort over your own truth. Individuation, becoming who you truly are, requires confrontation. Not with them, with yourself. It demands you choose the terrifying path of self over the familiar comfort of performance. It demands you let the ones who only loved the mirror turn away, so the ones who can love your face might find you. It demands you risk being misunderstood, criticized, even abandoned, so that you might stand finally inside a life that belongs to you. At first, the losses feel unbearable. People will call you difficult when you set a boundary they cannot cross. They will call you selfish when you stop carrying the weight they dropped at your feet. They will call you cold when you stop bleeding for their warmth, and you will grieve, not just for them, but for all the versions of yourself you built just to survive them. But the grief will pass, and what remains will be real. Miyamoto Musashi said, "Seek nothing outside yourself, and when you finally stop seeking permission, stop seeking applause, stop seeking to be everyone's soft landing, you will find something no one can take away again. You will find your own ground, you will find your own voice, you will find the terrifying, exhilarating realization that you were never starving for their love, you were starving for your own." Being real is not a guarantee of love from others, but it is the only guarantee of love from yourself. And the moment you choose that, the moment you stand with your feet planted in your own skin and say, "This is who I am, even if it costs me everything," you will feel a freedom no applause could ever give you. You were not born to be agreeable. You were born to be a wildfire they cannot predict, a truth they cannot soften, a life they cannot edit to fit their comfort. You were born to be real, and real is not always loved, but it is always free. There's a silence that feels like peace, but if you listen closely, you can hear it cracking. At first, it's the little betrayals, the easy yes when your whole body wants to say no, the fake laughter that leaves a sour taste after the echo dies, the apology you offer just to keep the air from thickening with tension. It seems harmless, it seems kind, but every time you choose their comfort over your truth, you carve away something small and sacred inside yourself. and the world applauds you for it. They call you good, they call you humble, they call you strong. No one tells you that the price of this peace is too high, because the more you sacrifice your voice, the more you become a stranger to it. The more you sacrifice your needs, the more they start to feel shameful. The more you sacrifice your boundaries, the more you start to believe you don't deserve any. You survive by becoming agreeable. But survival without authenticity is just a slower kind of death. You survive, but you do not live. Carl Jung warned that the things we bury do not disappear. They wait, they grow teeth in the dark, and when they return, it is not with whispers, but with a roar you can no longer control. The war you try to avoid outside becomes the war raging inside. The conflict you refuse to face with them becomes the fracture splitting you in two. One part of you still kneels at the altar of their comfort. The other part rises, furious, wild, demanding to be seen. And in that collision, you are forced to choose. There will be a day when someone you love looks at you and asks, without saying it, for your silence as proof of your loyalty. There will be a day when you must decide, who will you betray, them or yourself? Every time you choose their comfort over your truth, a part of you dies unseen, and the tragedy is, most of them will never even notice your funeral. You'll keep showing up. You'll keep performing the easy, pleasing version of yourself. And they'll never wonder what it cost you, because survival disguises pain better than anything else, but you'll know, you'll feel it, the slow erosion of your own soul. And here's the final brutal truth. The peace you fought so hard to maintain outside becomes the war you can no longer survive inside. You cannot save yourself by being loved for a mask. You can only save yourself by loving the face you were born with. As Rumi said, let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. And if what you love is truth, if what you love is freedom, then it's time to stop mistaking survival for living. It's time to stop calling betrayal kindness. It's time to stop burying yourself just to make others more comfortable. Because the real betrayal is not disappointing them. The real betrayal is disappearing from your own life. The return is not loud, it is not celebrated, it is not marked by trumpets or applause. No one hands you a trophy for choosing yourself. It is quiet, it is trembling, it is terrifying, it is saying no and losing people you thought would stay. It is speaking your truth and watching rooms grow colder. It is refusing to apologize for existing and standing in the silence that follows. It is grief, it is rage, it is freedom born raw and shivering in your hands. Carl Jung called it individuation, the painful, holy task of becoming who you truly are. Not the mask, not the persona, not the survival story, the self. The one who was waiting beneath all the performances, all the peacekeeping, all the gentle betrayals you committed against yourself to belong. And when you finally return to that self, you realize something that survival tried to make you forget. Wholeness is not built by being easy to love. Wholeness is built by being unwilling to abandon yourself. At first, you will feel naked, exposed too much. You will hear the voices in your head whisper that you are selfish, difficult, ungrateful. You will feel the weight of every expectation you once carried pressing down, begging you to kneel again. But you will not kneel. You will stand. You will tremble. You will hurt. And you will survive it. You will survive the loneliness. You will survive the coldness. You will survive the losses, because you will have gained something you never truly had before, yourself. You will have gained the unshakable knowing that you are not here to be easy. You are not here to be digestible. You are not here to be a soft landing for everyone else's unfinished healing. You are here to be real, and real is not always loved, but real is always free. As Khalil Gibran said, your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. In that breaking, you are not falling apart. You are finally breaking free. And when you finally stand in your own skin, when you finally breathe without apology, when you finally claim your life back from every place you abandoned it, you will understand. You were never meant to fit. You were meant to belong to yourself first. And if this truth stirs something inside you, if you're ready to choose real over easy, truth over comfort, freedom over applause, then stand with us. Walk forward. Like this video, share it with the ones still hiding. Subscribe and come home to the life that was always waiting for you. The world does not need another mirror. It needs your fire. It needs your face. It needs your voice. And most of all, you need them too.